Okay, it's a little after 6 o'clock. We call to order the meeting of the Auburn Public Schools Master Building Team. This meeting is being taped, and is anyone else taping it? There being none, the first thing we'll do is have the pledge.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, the first item on the agenda is citizens' comments. Are there any citizens' comments? There are none. Next is the approval of the minutes from July 30th, if anyone wants to make any changes. If
Make a
not,
motion to accept.
so moved. Seconded?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
It is a vote. All right, the next item is the report of the existing building subcommittee, a subcommittee that was put in place to really determine which of the two of the four remaining schools that we want to continue using. So with that, Paul?
Okay. The first thing I'd like to say is we actually studied these buildings when I first started working with the school building committees about 2000 or 1999. We had reports like this on all the mechanicals and everything, and that's not what we were doing this time. What we were doing is seeing which of the buildings would be most appropriate to keep open rather than which buildings we should close. We were looking at which buildings met the requirements of the educational plan the best. And the items that we were looking at were security issues. Is the building structurally sound? And they're all structurally sound. As a matter of fact, when I went through these buildings the first time, I was appalled at the condition. And they are in such good shape right now. Mr. Fahey, you should be congratulated, and you should be doing an excellent job in every one of those buildings. And the other thing that you can see when you go through those buildings is that the teachers are happy, because when you walk into a classroom and you see that it's decorated nicely, and that they have the kids' things on the wall, and it's clean, and the materials are already ready for September, you know that the teachers are happy. They may be in old buildings, but I think that they're being run very, very well. And I thank the superintendent of schools for that, and I thank Mr. Fahey for keeping them in the condition that they are. So we looked at, is the building structurally sound? And all the buildings are structurally sound. Is the building mechanically sound? Is it ADA compliant? Does the building have an elevator? What type of fuel do you use? So we used all of these items that you can see. 15 of those items were on the building, and then there were some considerations on could the building support an addition. In other words, if it had to be expanded, was there enough room to expand? Okay. Is the building suitable for K through 2 students? Is the building accessible for parking? Does the site support traffic flow for drop-off and pickup? And is there an ability to expand parking? And the study that we did, they took each one of those items that were given to us as concerns, and we ranked them. Each person ranked them according to what they saw. And then we met again, and what we did is we compiled the comments, and we agreed on a figure from 1 to 5 if the building met that particular requirement. For example, security issues being addressed, Packagug, we agreed on a level of 4. Bryn Mawr, we agreed on a level of 3 because everybody had to go through the front office to get in the building. It would be like the high school now where everybody has to go through your front office. You can't get in the building anywhere else. That's what we're looking for. Julia Bancroft, and because the office was located so you couldn't see the rest of the building. And Mary D was the worst of them. Is it structurally sound? They all scored very highly in structurally sound. Okay. Is the building mechanically sound? Once again, they scored very high, 4s out of 5, except for Julia Bancroft. And most of the bathrooms at one point that I went through years ago were deplorable. Today, they're perfect. I don't know who did them, but they did an excellent job on them, and they're kept up very well. Is the building ADA compliant? ADA compliant is a big thing today. They have to be ADA compliant. And Mary D. Stone and Julia Bancroft were not, because Mary D. Stone, it's built on 3 or 4 different levels. So to get from one level to another, you've got to go downstairs, you've got to go through some rooms, then you've got to go back upstairs. And the concerns that we had were if a child became injured or sick in some parts of the building, it'd be very difficult to get them to the nurse's office. It's very difficult to get around the buildings. And Mary D. Stone's the same thing. To get into those upper floors in the old building takes quite a bit. Does the building have an elevator? Well, Packagug does and Bryn Mawr does, and the other 2 do not. And we also looked at, would it be feasible to put an elevator in there? And we found that, in our opinion, you can do anything. You can hire Joe and you can hire Rick, and they can actually do anything. Whether you could pay for it is a different story. But it could not easily be put into those 2 buildings. An elevator would be very difficult to install in those 2 buildings. And we looked at the kind of fuel that they're using, and of course, gas is much cheaper than oil. And some of the schools have gas, some have gas, propane and oil. And so we gave them a figure from 1 to 5, and you can see Julia Bancroft is gas, and some of the others use gas and oil. And are the kitchens and cafeteria sizes appropriate to support the students? The kitchens are very small in the buildings, all 4 of them. I don't know what you do with that. It's probably nothing. So we gave them what we could, 3, 2, 2, 1. Does the building have a separate gym and cafeteria? Only one does, Bryn Mawr. The rest of them all have a combination gymnasium and cafeteria. And the problem with that is that in scheduling, I mean, you cannot schedule a lunch while there is going to be a gym class, because you have tables that you have to pull down from the walls. And if they still have those tables, when I first looked at them, I figure 15 years ago, 12 years ago, they were dangerous. They have been fixed, but I think that they're still somewhat dangerous. And they have portable ones now that are much better. They can fold them up and get them out of the way. They're the kind that they use in the high school, in their cafeteria, and they're starting to put those in the elementary schools. What they've been doing in there is when they've been upgrading the schools, they've been upgrading them so that the things that they're putting in can be taken out and put into the junior high school or the middle school. For example, when they did the floors to encapsulate the asbestos tiles, they put in material that can be taken up, cleaned, and used in other parts of the school system. So they were really looking ahead when they did these things in the building. Nobody can complain about the maintenance in the schools any longer. Is there ample space to host functions, programs for large groups? Once again, you have a gym. You can put folding chairs in there. You can sit on the lunchroom table and chairs or whatever. 2 of them, Mary D. Stone and Julia Bancroft, can't really host large groups. And the other thing with the large groups is you're not ADA accessible and you can't get into the building. Is the building adequate size to support 300 students? Well, most of them are. The only one that would have been difficult would be Julia Bancroft, and the rest of them are right up there, 4, 3. Does the building have ample bathrooms to support 300 students? And the state has all kinds of regulations on how many bathrooms you're supposed to have for students and so forth. And we didn't even look at that, because what we were looking at is what we had. All right, this is what we have, and this is what we have to work with. Condition of the library, is it able to support students' educational programs? Yes, they're small, all right? Once again, Julia Bancroft was the worst condition of the library, not necessarily condition, but size and number of students you get in there. Condition of the gym. I've never seen gym floors shine like that in my whole life. In 40 years of teaching, I think somebody spit shines them, I'm not sure, but they are absolutely gorgeous. And so are the classrooms with wood floors. Okay, so the gym is able to support the educational programs in most of the schools. The main office, once again, they are able to support the students. Mary D. Stone, the office is very small. The principal's office is not attached to the main office. She's in another part of the building, which is not really good. I mean, she's in such a small office, if she had two people in there, one would have to stand in the hallway. So, cafeteria, once again, the cafeteria facilities, the kitchen, everything is brand new practically, or if it's not brand new, it's very well kept. It looks brand new. Some of the buildings have outside freezers because they don't fit in the building. That's another reason why the buildings would get a low mark. Not necessarily because they're dirty or they're not, but now you have to go outside in the freezing weather to get your hot dogs or whatever you're serving that day. General conditions of the classroom. All the classrooms were in excellent condition. They were excellent condition. The heating systems in some of them are old, but they're functioning. I'd like to see them replaced, I certainly would, but I don't think it's necessary at this point. I think what we have to do at this point is just decide which of the two buildings we're going to keep open and let someone else determine what's going to happen to the other two. I don't think that that's our responsibility at this time. Could the building support an addition in future years? Once again, if the building is on a small piece of land, it's difficult to expand it. The only thing you can do is go up, and the two older buildings, you can't go up any further than they already are. They're 2 or 3 stories. The other two buildings, Packagug and Bryn Mawr, can both be expanded. Is it suitable for K through 2 students? And yes, they are. The two of them that we considered, they're on one floor, which makes it much easier with the young kids to take the class of 5-year-olds up and down 3 flights of stairs is not a good way to operate a building. Can you expand the parking? Once again, you can expand the parking. If you expand the parking in Mary D and JP, what's going to happen is you're going to remove some of the area for the playgrounds, and you have to have the kids outside running around in those lower grades. Does the site support traffic flow for drop-off? Not really. Right now, the one up by the town hall is using the town hall parking lot for pickup and drop-off. And if you have any business in the town hall early in the morning, you might as well forget it because you can't get in there. You can't go in and yell at Eddie or anything. You have to wait until afterwards. So that was not good. The same thing over off of Vinyl Street. And there's only one road into Vinyl Street. So that if that road ever became blocked out near South Oxford, you couldn't get emergency vehicles into the building if there was an accident or explosion or something out there. So that's why that got a low number. So 2 of them have good traffic flow, 2 of them have very poor. And we came up with numbers at the bottom, and we said that Packagug had the highest score with a 79, and then after that came Bryn Mawr with a 67, and then the other 2 were down 44 and 41. We also looked at the operating costs, okay? And you can see that the buildings that are fueled by gas, natural gas, the heating bill is much lower than the other. Well, not that much, I suppose. You also have to consider the square footage of the building. Some buildings are bigger than others, so their heating bill would be bigger. But the oil is much more expensive than natural gas. And the propane is a little bit less, but not that great. If you look at it, you can see that Packagug has the least amount of maintenance, custodial supplies, repair, maintenance, and so forth. And Bryn Mawr comes next to it, and then the other two are really not that much higher. Mary D. Stone is a little bit higher, okay? And from the assessor's office, we have the valuations, and you've got Packagug School with total valuation $3.4 million. Bryn Mawr is $2.5 million. Julie Bancroft is $2.9 million, and Mary D. Stone is $2 million. So the actual value of the buildings is not that different, right? And then you have the next group. It shows you the relative layout of the buildings and the room sizes. And you can see that the room sizes range from, the modulars have over 800 square feet. Some of the other classrooms are 790. Some of them rooms, we should have put on here what the room actually was, because if you got a 400 square foot room, it's probably not a classroom. And you can see the classrooms upstairs are 792, 792, 720, 630. So the classrooms are close to the minimum of the modern requirements of the state. Like the state's modern requirements where are we here? Practice rooms, okay. Regular, blah, blah, blah. Special areas, 600 to 1,200. General areas, 1,200. So, the new regulations give you something around 900 square feet. Is that about the right size minimum, Rick? 900, a little over 9?
I believe so.
Yeah.
I haven't got it right in front
I
of me,
don't
but I
have it.
believe so, yeah. I think
So, the rooms are not that much smaller than are required at this point. So, the buildings can support, and they're little kids too. So you don't need room, you don't need the size of a room that you would have to have for high school kids. Okay, and what are we here? In Bryn Mawr, you can see that the room sizes are actually pretty close, 900, 900, 900, 900. So that would be the minimum for 1 through 12. And that's another reason why it would support the educational plan very well. And when you get to Julia Bancroft, some of them are small, 484, 630, but all the new wing, they're all up over 800, 864, 864. They're not 9, but they're very close. All right, any questions? We have, we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of us here. 6. If there's any questions from the audience or anyone else. Ellie, you have any questions for us? Okay. Well, that's all I got to say.
Any other comments from any committee members? Or anyone want to
I would
add
just
anything?
echo Paul's comments on the maintenance of the schools. Joe and the maintenance guys have done one hell of a job. I mean, every one of those schools is immaculate. The hallways have been freshly painted. There's nothing wrong with any one of those buildings in the maintenance section. You've done a hell of a job in your crews. Great. Got to commend you on that one. That's what made it difficult. You did such a good job.
And another thing, a lot of the improvements that they've put in the buildings, like the technology and things, can be moved. That stuff can be moved from the buildings that are going to be closed into the middle school and to upgrade their facilities. So we all put comments down here too. Once again, upgrading technology, right? New flooring. And the rooms are undersized, so 900 square foot natural light. Upper building, too far away from office. These are the kinds of comments that we all made when we were going through. And these are the comments that we went over when we came up with the numerical values that we used. For example, over at Vinyl Street, brickwork on the outside needs to be worked on. Some of the lintels are rusted out, and the brickwork needs to be pointed in a number of places. That's some of the things.
Where is that?
JB.
And JB.
Oh,
I think.
Yep,
Remember the lintels were bad
Yeah.
10 years ago.
yep.
And storage space was difficult in all the buildings. There's no storage space. Gym floor, underside tables need replaced.
The tables that, some of them have been encapsulated at some of the
Right,
schools,
right. They're working on those,
working on those.
yeah. But that's all I've got to say.
Any other comments?
If I could make a comment, because I
Sure.
wasn't here when you did the existing building study, I am very impressed with the way all these areas were, the areas that were picked and then rated. I think it's so very thorough that I couldn't think of anything else I would have added. It just seems to cover every aspect of every school.
It's a little bit easier when you see a number.
It
on
is,
too.
it absolutely is.
It's a great job. With that, then, I guess we'd entertain a motion, which of the two schools that we would want to have remain as K2, K through 2?
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion that, based upon what the subcommittee has come up with, it seems obvious that the two schools, one being Packagug and one being Bryn Mawr, should remain as elementary schools, K through 2. And the rest of the children go to middle school. And at a future time, I'm not so sure we're ready to do that now, a decision would be a recommendation made to the school committee as to what happens with the two buildings that it's intended to come offline.
I think at this point, though...
Is that a motion?
No, I think at this point, well, yes, it was, but I think what we want to do is just keep which of the two buildings are going to be reused, so the motion would be to keep Packagug and Bryn Mawr as the
As
school.
educational elementary buildings.
That's correct.
Second, yeah.
Second?
And second? Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? It is a vote. I think what we want to do is probably make a small presentation to the school committee on September 4th. If we
Yes.
could, maybe you and I can go or something like that and show them, okay?
Are you volunteering me for another committee?
I think you guys did a great job.
I would
mean,
never come
it's-
late again.
I don't think
promise.
I don't think anyone
I will
expected
write that
this
down.
kind
right
of
here.
depth for it.
Never
So,
come late. I'll put it in my phone. I have messages in my
All right.
phone.
Next up would be discussion, sign up for subcommittees. We had discussed a little bit last week that maybe we just want to have two committees as we did the last time. So I don't know if we just want to keep the same committee members that we had to begin with and just leave it at that? That's
I would
okay
do
with
that.
everybody? Yeah. It seemed like it had pretty well broken out to, the educational side and the construction side, so it seems like it works pretty good. The next item would be an expected schedule. I played around with it a little bit and passed it out, and I know we had talked about it last week and had some concerns, but we've got plenty of time here. If you look at it, if we can figure out the funding in September and then come up with a preliminary plan this fall, both for the program and the renovation, and then by that time, we'll know what we've got to repurpose for funding. And then after the holidays, if we can try to wrap up the final programs and by the end of next year have it ready to go out to bid, we should be fine here, I think. So as we move along, I think we're going to need to, once we see the magnitude of the renovations, we'll have to decide how we want to do it, whether it's going to be a small job or one big job, or how we hire the architect, who the architect is, that kind of thing. So we can figure that out at some point during 14. Any other comments on the schedule or the thought, how we're going to go about it? With that being, I guess we'll set the next meeting. How long do we need to take to come up with the funding, get a good handle on the funding?
October? Yeah, probably October. We're gonna be going through the CIP, the review that happens annually, so
yep.
probably October
Yep.
would make sense.
Yep. So at some point, mid-September or late September, we'll decide when the meeting would be in October?
Yep.
First week, second week, somewhere in there? Okay.
Agree.
Any other comments, anything to,
Would you do the whole middle school at once? The old
well, I think we'll,
renovations, or how
I
many?
think once we get a couple of months into this and get an idea of just how much we're actually gonna be doing, we can make that decision, but I, in my mind, I don't see why it can't all be done at once. I think it'd be crazy not to. There's infrastructure things, and if you look in here, I kind of put it in each of the summers that, maybe we could be doing. But as far as making the final split of the rooms and the room layouts and hardware and things like that, that wants to be there last summer, I think, so that we don't do something and then decide maybe we decided too early what to do, so.
Mr. Chair, what we could do, if you want to set a meeting now, would you want to do that while people are here and people have their calendars with them?
Sure.
Assume I have my camera.
I know.
When is the SBC meetings? When are they? Are
We
they-
actually have a meeting to interview the top 3 CM at risk firms on Tuesday, October 8th.
Would that work for everybody? Seems like it's
Do it
easier
at
for you
6
guys. Sure,
o'clock?
sure, yeah.
Does that work for you? If we do it 6? Yeah, that works for me.
Works for everyone?
Okay.
Okay. So the next meeting will be October 8th at 6 o'clock here. When does the SBC meet? Typically once a month?
Typically, right now, I think we're just waiting for the CM at risk, so I think, yeah, probably once a month.
So maybe if we try to keep it to that.
Join it
and
with that.
If there's nothing going on, we can skip a month or two or
Okay.
whatever, so. Any other items anybody wants to cover? Entertain a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second?
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Vote.